Hey there, I hope you're doing well today. You can let me know, let me know where you're watching from, and I'd love to spend some time kind of getting to know you as well. Today we're going to be working on this Frontend Mentor challenge, and let me go ahead and try to pull up my video feed. All right, there we go. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're at. It looks like I'm having some trouble with my internet connection again, just not quite holding the stream as steady as I'd like, so I'm going to probably kill my video feed for this, but I don't think that will degrade your experience at all. So anyhow, but I wanted to at least say hi as we get going here. All right, so this is what we're going to be working on here, and it looks like I never actually transitioned that over, so hi officially. We're going to be working on this Front-End Mentor challenge, and like I said, I think I'd like to do this with React. That's what I put in the comments, but I'm willing to be persuaded otherwise. When I'm learning something, I just do everything in it, and right now I'm learning React in TypeScript, and so that's what I've been trying to do stuff in, and so I'd like to keep doing that if that's a help. Burkina Faso. Oh, cool. All right, let's go. Yeah. Read the docs, yeah, or React Router. I do know React Router. At least I've used it in a few projects. I'm not sure I'd say I know it, but... All right, let me go ahead and I'm just going to transition over here now. And like I said, because my internet connection is struggling so much, I'm going to kill my video feed, and I might even kill other stuff as well. So, all right, so here we are. This is a junior level project. You can see it's basically just a CSS project, but I figured maybe we'd use React, and I don't know. I'm kind of wondering too. Like, I could use Astro and just have a React component for something like this for the new things. I mean, it kind of depends on what kind of news site this is, if it's something that you build, but most of these would be built with something in React or Svelte or something like that, which Svelte is next on the list for me if I'm going to learn something. So, but front-end student from Morocco. Cool. So I'm kind of thinking right now that I'm gonna, why don't we do this? Let's keep this simple actually. Let's just do this in HTML and CSS, because I think that's kind of the point of this. It's supposed to be junior level, and maybe what we can do is add some extra stuff. So I think let's do that. I think I'm gonna do that. All right. Hey Dante, welcome. All right, so if that's the case, I think I'm still gonna get this going with Vite. Just because it'll get a dev server up and running for us and stuff like that. So why don't we do, I like to use PMPM when I can, so PMPM create, and then we'll just call this news, how about, yeah, news homepage is fine, homepage. Error happening. What in the world? All right. PMPM create Vite news homepage. Got to use the actual keyword. All right, and like I said, I think I'll just use vanilla JavaScript, because that's kind of the point. There's not really a whole lot of JavaScript anyhow in here, and maybe we can add some extra stuff. It's more of a UI challenge, so I think it should be according to whatever the spec is. And I didn't hear anything in the 30 seconds where I asked for it, so I'm just going to go for it here. All right, let's see. Anything else I need? I don't think so. So let's do PMPM run dev. And that should get something spun up over here. All right, there we go. We're counting it in vanilla JavaScript. So if I open up the sidebar over here, it should be right here, this news homepage. And I haven't really looked at the spec other than it looks like you're just supposed to lay it out. So let's kind of try to think, should I use anything else special? Maybe let's get like postcss up and running or something like that. Let's start with just kind of the bare bone basics, and we'll go from there, because I don't want to get stuck just setting up tooling. So let me come over here. Let me strip all of this out, and I'm going to just go ahead and do a basic reset. In fact, let's see, Andy Bell reset. And then Josh. This guy has a reset too I really like. Let's see. CSS. Josh. Reset. Where's his CSS reset? reset. There we go. All right, so let's grab some of these things. Sure, I'm gonna grab this. I'm also gonna set the margin to 0 and the padding to 0. Let's see, we'll use this too, that's fine. Grab this, because that's how I prefer to work with stuff too. I don't think we're gonna have any of these, but I'll do it just, well, I guess we might have some buttons. This is for more React stuff. Sure, we can grab this font stuff. We'll just kind of combine the two of these things. That's what I kind of already did. I already put 0 on everything. List style none, sure. Although I don't think we'll have anything but the navigation itself. We can scroll, that's fine. Scroll smooth. I don't think we're going to have any internal clicks anyhow. All that's good. It's nice to, this is one thing I like about this one, is that it's got this reset for reduced motion. All right, we'll call that good for those. No reason to recreate the wheel. We already have the wheel, so we'll use theirs. How are we styling? I'm just going to use CSS, I think, because that it seems like it's kind of supposed to be a basic layout, and you're just supposed to practice CSS. Because I saw this, so that's what I'm going to do. NPM, I know. I used to like NPM, like you never thought it was slow till I started using PNPM and Yarn, and I use PNPM mostly, and so now NPM just seems crazy slow. All right, let's go ahead then and look inside. Not here. Where's my SRC assets? What am I inside of here? Oh, I think I opened up the wrong folder. Well, that makes sense. All right, so let me switch this out and I'll be right back with you. In the meantime, let me know how you're doing. Let me know if the audio is weird, because it seems like the audio could be weird. Because at least according to OBS, it looks like the stream is a little slow. All right. In the meantime, I'm trying to get this thing up and running. And I got to move all this stuff around to the right folder. All right. So I had the wrong directory open. I had my last project I did on the channel open for some reason, so I'm not really sure how that happened, but I think we're set now. So I was like, what's React doing in here? I didn't install React. So let me move everything over and then I'll transition back. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so we've got the design itself here. Here are the active states, which I think there's basically just hover states for these things. So good enough for me. Let's come over to the style guide, and this is where we'll start comping out stuff. So I've got a bunch of colors, and we've got this font here, which is just enter. So let me open it up in this area. 400, and 800. Font size for the paragraph is 15. That's a little odd that it's smaller than 16, but all right, let's just copy all this out. And I think all the rest of that's good. It's working good for you. Okay, good. All right, so inside here, let's see, news home, this one right here. Let's go ahead and below all this clear stuff, let's just have a root declared. And I'm going to go ahead and add in all of these right here. And let's grab all these and move them back. And let's see. I think I'm going to do these as I typically would, which is to remove the HSLs. And that way I can style them more dynamically. But maybe let's wait till I get them named because I don't know what they are. So let's just call these accent. Yeah, we'll just call this accent 1 and 2. And that should be good. And then here, let's call these Let me call this one background, because that's what I would typically call it. And then this one I will call muted. How about light? This would be muted, and then this would be text. That's what I would usually call them, something like that. And then I can grab all these, Command D to grab those, and we'll back these up like that. All right, so those are my colors. I could use something like open props for some of these spacing things. But again, maybe just for the sake of the tutorial, to keep it as simple as possible, since that's kind of what they're going for, let's just do everything ourselves. So I'm going to come in here, and next I'll declare some like sizes. How about like font sizes? And here I can use something called utopia.fyi, which I've used before. This just gives you a little type scale, which is nice. So type calculator and a space calculator, and that way we don't have to come up with this ourselves. So I'll grab all this and like this and drop this in here. And again, they don't really give you font sizes unless you have the Figma file. So I'm just going to do whatever I want, and I'm fine with that if you're good with that. So this is, let's see. This is their step 0. So I probably do need to back that off some. So they said 15. Let's go 16. Maybe we'll start that at 22. And then let's recopy these in. And that way my step 0 is basically my font size 1. And the way I like to do these is, so I'm going to grab all these and I'll do font size like this. And then I like to name these like 400 for the basic. So think about it more like a font. I think Kevin Powell does this. It's probably where I picked it up. 600, and we'll go 700. And again, I don't really have true font sizes from them, so I'm going to be fine with this. And then we'll go 900 here. And then that means this can be 300 and this can be 200. And it's kind of in line of how I think about font sizes and normal font properties. So here we'll do spacing, and we're going to do the same kind of thing. Let's see, we got a space calculator up here, I think. Oh, here we go. Okay. So it's multiples of 4, and that all works for me. And then this is larger if we want to do bigger steps between them. I think I'm fine with that one, so we'll do that. Use clamp, and yeah, I'm good with that. So we'll come over here and just add them in this way. And that's fine. We can leave them like that. All right, so at least we've got some basic colors, font spacing, that kind of stuff. Looking at the design, let's kind of get some other properties we might need. It's hard to see that there, so why don't we open up some examples over this way. There's no rounding at all, so we don't need to worry about any kind of rounded properties. Although I might do like a slight rounding for these buttons on hover, but or focus, but that's fine. We can do that ourselves. Anything else I really need? Let's see. Let's have. So sometimes I like to do stuff like I like to have stacks, because I know this is going to be a grid. This will be a grid. This will be a grid. Now these might be flex, in a flex container, but this itself will be a grid. And that spacing is very similar to this. That will be a grid. There's a bigger space here, so maybe that could be another grid. That looks like it corresponds with this down here. So let's create some grid kind of boxes. And a lot of times I'll, kind of in my own projects, I won't put this in here, but we'll go ahead and kind of style out what some of these things should look like. So we'll have the body here and do some stuff there, but let's also, I guess maybe above this, we'll have some utility classes. And here what I'm going to want is we'll have some like stacks. That's, I think, what I usually call them. So we'll do like a stack small. And here, basically what I mean by that is it's going to be display grid, and then I'll have a gap of, in this case, it'd be like space, I don't know, extra small or something like that. We can adjust that as we need. And then I'll have a stack large. And maybe this would be space medium, something like that. And let's see, I know I'm going to type these as this, so I'm going to go ahead and change those here, because I'm not going to remember that. Okay, I think that I'm pretty happy with that overall as far as just kind of getting some base styling going. Let's go ahead and add this enter stuff. And if I remember right, I need 4, let's see, style guide. 400, 700, 800. I've got 400 and 700 already. Let me just add 800 to the stack. There we go. And I'll grab this here. And I'll grab this here. All right. So back over this way, we'll add that. And then let me open up the HTML for maybe this one. Yeah, there we go. So we'll call this news homepage. And then below here is where I'll put that. All right, and that way we should be set. Okay, get rid of that and get rid of that. That died on us. All right, so pm run dev. I got a cd into the news homepage, and then pm run dev. All right, there we go. All right, anything else I want to know in here? The style guide? Not really. Not helpful. All right, so let's just come over here and maybe let me see what they gave me. I'm sure they didn't give me any data file. That's one of my frustrations with Frontend Mentors. I'm like, if you want me to do anything other than just like manually type every single thing, you have to create your own data file. I just wish they gave you that, but I can't complain about free projects. Where are we at? I guess just in here maybe? Okay, yeah, so it's all just manually set in here. Again, if I was using something like React, I could just loop over this, but I'm trying to keep it pretty simple, and it's not like it's that much to copy. So why don't we start maybe with just getting the nav working. So we'll do that next. So let me open up the mobile design and the mobile menu. Okay, so it's just a little pop out, only covers part of the screen. And I've got a little icon here. So thinking about laying this out, if I go to the desktop, we're going to have obviously the icon over here. This would be a link going to the home page, and we've got 5 links, and we've got this mobile button here. There's nothing else in here we need to add when we get on mobile, and I'd like to keep it the same. That way we don't have like 2 navs and one of them is technically like display none or something. I don't know. Not that you can't do that, but I'd prefer not to. Yeah, so I'm trying to keep it really simple, Andre, if that's how you say your name, because the project itself looks like it's supposed to be for junior devs and it's about CSS. So I'm kind of trying to keep it super simple. I might actually add postcss or something here in a second if I remember. But for right now, that was my plan, is to kind of keep it as simple as possible and then progressively add stuff as we have time or once I kind of get the basics up. So why don't we just go ahead and get this thing worked out the way we just chatted about. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, and again, I'm going to get rid of all this. All the CSS is actually being brought in through this. That's just how Vite works by default. Let's see. So up top here, I'm going to have a nav, and let's close this down. So we're going to have that. Actually, what I think I'm going to do, because it's going to be held to the middle somewhere, is let's have a container, and I'll probably have a class for that. So let's come back over this way, container, and I'll do that in a second. Let's also set my background color here to var of my background, and actually I need to wrap this in HSL because that's how I wrote these. And the reason I did that is because it gives you more flexibility as you're building out gradients and stuff. So if I set this as accent 1, for instance, I can just come right in here and do like 0.2 or 0.5 or whatever, and it gives you, let's see, do I have spaces or commas in here? Is that what's messing this up? Yeah. So let's get rid of all of these. I don't usually use commas. Not that you can't, but you can see how it's giving you opacity kind of when you need it. All right. And that way you don't have to do that. And all you have to do is wrap this in HSL. And I have a little shortcut where if I type comma HSL, it wraps it and puts my cursor there and I can type it. So it's not a big deal for me. And that way it gives me more flexibility. All right. So background, and then this one needs to be text. And that way we at least have the right text going. And this will be text. All right, so the container, eventually we'll get some spacing out on that, but for now, we'll come over here, and I've got inside of here then my nav, and I think the way I want this to be is we'll have this be the link that goes back to the home page. So let's say ARIA label, and this needs to say like go to homepage. something like that. And there's actually one more thing we probably should add, which is a little skip to content button. So maybe that is going to be up here. And it doesn't need an ARIA label because it's going to have text. So it'll say like go to main or something like that. And this will point to the main tag that we'll write eventually. Like that. And let's go ahead just for, see, we'll probably have that top section be a header. Let me open back up the design. Will we have this be a header? Maybe that whole thing would just be the main. Okay, so we'd have that be the main and give this an ID of main. And that way we can point this to it. So typically you have like a section here where they'd click and it skips them down to the main and it'll just be hidden. In fact, most sites have that, believe it or not. CSS modules, what do you think about them? I think they're awesome. Yep. So I like being able to scope stuff too, which, you know, CSS modules obviously help you with. And I've got a tutorial coming out at some point, I think next week, where I use CSS modules. So you can get all my thoughts then. All right. So in here is where we're going to have, we'll just have our icon or whatever. Let's lay the rest of this out first though. Now, the way I would do this is I would have a button here, and this would be like the mobile nav next. And then next to this, let's see, how would I, yeah, I think next to this is what I would do. I'd have a UL, and this would actually be where, and this could be a row of list, that's fine, because I think the way we have it, well, let's leave it alone for now just to double check, but like this would be where I'd have all my links. So here, this would point back home, and there we go. And again, if I was using some kind of framework to speed this up, we could do that, but I could just copy it down. It's not a huge deal. Let me pull this back up. New, home, new, popular, trending categories. All right. So home, new, popular, trending, categories. Okay. And then those are all popped out there. And I guess, do I even need this? Or are they just hidden over this way? Yeah, there's a marker. Okay. So I do need a row of list, I think was how I set up that clear. And now these should have a marker. Okay, cool. All right, so this is how I do it, and then hide the list basically up. And when I click this mobile nav on like a smaller screen size, it'd be, you know, be higher up, then it would slide down or slide over, I guess. The other thing that allows us to do is probably, let's see, I'll probably need a wrapper around the entire content of the body. That way you can't do an overflow in the body or everything will be hidden. But I can come in here and do like a wrapper, and we'll just call this wrapper, something like that. And that way that can be display or overflow hidden on the wrapper, and everything should still work properly. So let's also do that. So I'll have a wrapper. This is just going to be overflow of hidden. And that way I can hide stuff off to the right, and we should be good to go. All right, this container itself, so the idea here is I want it to be centered, and I want it to only be a max width, and everything really should have a container on it. That's not full width, so we'll do, I guess we'll just do margin inline of auto, and then let's do, where do I want the padding? Maybe I do the padding here. Let's see, do I have anything that goes all the way to the side, like on a mobile? No. So yeah, I mean, if the wrapper's around everything, why not use that? So we'll do on that wrapper. How about padding? We'll just do var space extra small. All right, so I've got a different profile set up for VS Code, and for some reason it doesn't ever show me like autocomplete stuff in CSS. So if somebody knows how to do that, I have it set up on my other profile, and I really quickly looked at the settings. But if you happen to know to do that off the top of your head, let me know, because for some reason it's not letting me, and that's kind of frustrating because it takes forever. All right. Actually, let me just look at my emmet settings. Is that the problem? Exclude languages, CSS. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything off the top of my head. So, and yeah, let me know. All right, so we'll do margin inline. That should space that all out. The other thing I might want to do is, if I look over here, like this would be obviously the nav, and I guess up top I'm going to have more room there. So that might be something to consider. So maybe we come in here and say like, to do media query for larger screens. That way we get some spacing differently there. All right, let's go and open the sidebar though and finish out this nav. Where are my assets? Let's just bring all of these over into here. All right, so images, icon menu, logo. That's what I'm looking for. So I think I'm just going to do this inline, I guess. So we'll do that, and we'll put that right here. Nope, put that right here. And for now, we'll be good with that. And that way we've got a little bit more control over it, and we don't have to do another fetch for a simple little logo that we obviously want to display at the top. And I think that's pretty much good. I think the other thing I'll do is I'll add a class here, and we'll call this like ring link or something like that. Sometimes I'll do this to where if I want all my links to kind of respond the same way, it makes sense to kind of just style them with a class. So that's what I'll do here. So this will be another little utility class of ring link, and that way we can style that when we want to. Close the sidebar down. Let's see. Oh, I guess I also need this menu icon. And again, I think I'm just going to copy this so I don't have to do a fetch for an icon that obviously needs to display at the top of the page. We'll do that. And then this obviously needs an ARIA label as well. ARIA label because it doesn't have any text. So we'll say like open mobile nav. Open nav is fine. And let's give this a class. We'll call this mobile nav. How about this? We'll give it a class of button. We'll give it a class of ring link, and we'll give it a class of button nav, just in case we need to do something special with that. All right, so that's good. And then let's see, for all of these, I'm gonna grab all those here. We'll do some classes here. So we will call this, I think I'll just make this a button as well. Because I guess I could kind of style them all the same. This will kind of be its own thing though, so maybe I should back out of that. So let's just call these nav link, and we'll call this nav links. I think I'm good with that. And then let me come up here and I'll just call this button nav like that. Okay. So there we are. So the first thing let's do is let's get it working on mobile. So I want to stack these like they are, but I just want to move them all the way up. So it's all about styling at this point. And if I come over here, let's get them to where it first looks like this, and then we'll go from there. So the size of my, let me go ahead and just grab what I need here. I've got a little sequential pasteboard that lets me grab these one at a time. So I know I'm going to need to style this ring link at some point. Let's hide this and hope I remember that I hit it, and we can come back to that. This one also will need, let's do like logo mark or something like that. And I'll copy that in. Can I close this down at all? Yeah, there we go. Okay. And then we'll do button nav, nav links, and nav link. All right, I think we're good with that. Let's move over this way and let's start to add some of these. So we'll call this like nav section. All right, and then let's do these one at a time. Actually, this ring link I already have up there, right? Yeah. So logo mark to start with. Let's do a width of our space like large, something like that. Is that even the right thing? It is. Maybe it was just that exact size to start with. That seems very suspicious. Space, large. Sure looks the same. Okay, well, let's leave that alone for now. We'll call that good. This button nav itself, I want this to be, let's do background of none and border of none. And then I think I do want some padding on this of like 0.2 m, something like that. That way it's got a little bit more space around it. Do I want that? Make it a little bit smaller. The nav itself, so everything in this nav is inside of a container, right? So let's also give this, oh no, it's not. It's in the nav class. Okay, so we're good. So if I come in here and grab this nav, I can just say display of flex. Again, it's not doing my autocomplete, so that's a little frustrating, but that's all right. Here we need a max width on this as well. Let's do like 1200 pixels, something like that. Oops, we'll do a width of 100%. Goodness. All right, now this thing is shrinking. Okay, good to know. So maybe what I need to do is do that. Now I'm copying stuff and it keeps doing it over here. Let's just leave that alone for now, I guess. I'll come back to that. All right, I think I'm good with that. Let's come up here and we'll do align items center. And that puts everything in the center. Obviously, this needs to be, let's maybe do start then. This will be position absolute. Yeah, so I think we'll be okay. So let's go back to center here. Because on mobile, it's going to be position absolute. So these nav links here will be position of absolute. And again, we're doing mobile first. And then we'll do right of 0. And then translate. Transform X will be 100%. If I can get to typing like that. And that should move it. I think, oh, you know what? Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Right? Because this container, I just need this to be position of relative. Nah. Well, let's first of all space these out. So justify content space between, like that, and that spaces those out at least. Okay, let's get rid of that there. All right, so that's more or less working. I can figure out what's going on with this SVG first, so let's come back over this way. Do I have like an intrinsic size on this? Height, oh I do, a width of 65. Well, oh, that's the wrong thing. No, it's not. That's the logo mark. Huh. Well, I guess let's leave that alone then. Since it wants to do its own thing, let's just let it be happy. All right, so we've got those two things. I want to work on these ring links next because you can see we've got kind of that funky styling going on. That's the default. So here's what I typically like to do. So I guess these need, maybe I'll do my padding here, 0.2 m, something like that. And that way they've all got the same thing. And that means I can also get rid of it on this button nav. All right, and that way when I tab to it now, I've got a little bit more space around them, and that will dynamically adjust based on the font size that is set at. This should also then probably be font size, var of font size 400, and that might adjust the spacing a little bit since that will pick that up. It doesn't look like it changed it a whole lot because it's probably 1 rem to start with. All right, let's come in here though, and what I want to do is grab on my ring link here. I'm going to grab, let's just do a where selector. I'm going to grab, I think either the hover, I kind of like it when it's a hover, or focus visible. We're going to do a little ring around it, and then when I'm just focused, All right, so focus like this. Here we're going to do outline of none, and then we'll replace it here with the box shadow. So the way we'll do this is let's have it to where it's like, yeah, let's see. I think we'll just do 0, 0, 0. So no movement either way, no blur. And let's start with like 0.2em, something like that. So it'll adjust again based on font size. And then I want this to be set to my accent too, I think. Something like that. So let's do this and see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so if you can see that's what we're going for. Except what I want to start with is my background, I think. And then we'll copy this down, do a comma in between, and this will be accent of 2, and this will be like 0.4em. Maybe this should be like 1.5, something like that. And then when I come over here, you see this is what pops up. So all we need to do now is add a little transition on here. So we'll do transition. We'll do it on the box shadow property, like 300 milliseconds. And let's do ease for now. You kind of get it popping out like that. I think that's a cool effect. I do it on everything, so hopefully it's cool. Enter HTML. It's probably my JavaScript freaking out because I deleted everything. Maybe let's hover on this. Maybe let's change this up, this ease. We'll do something like that. And add that here. All right, so now anything with that kind of link, ring link class has this, and it kind of pops up like that. I like that. Okay, over here, it'll eventually be the same thing when I get that hidden properly. Okay, so let's come over here. Let's get rid of this since we don't need anything there. And we've got my nav links. Let's next grab my nav link, which are each of these individuals. And I guess let's first of all get this thing. Let's see, this needs to be, oh my, this is transform. This is translate X. Translate X. Translate, right? We do like 100% and 0. Now, what is this sitting inside of? Doesn't like this. Transform, translate X. Oh, I just don't need it in quotation marks now. Not sure why I did that. Okay, so we're good there. Then what we'll do is let's do the same property, and maybe what we should do is grab this right here. Yeah, let's just grab it directly, and we'll put it on here. So transition. We'll do it on the transform. Actually, I don't really want to do this until we click, because otherwise when you load, it'll kind of like swoop off the page. So let's not do that. So I guess for now, let's remove this just so I can style these. So this will be a decoration none, text decoration none. I've got to remember all these from the top of my head now that nothing's working. We'll do, let's see, color will be the text property or variable that we set up. Let's do some padding on this as well, or at least, yeah, I think that should work. Actually, you know, I've got padding because they should all be, yeah, they should all pick up that same thing. So let's come back over here, and these nav links themselves are also going to have the ring link on them, and that way if I tab to them, they should look the same. And maybe I actually add, is that all right? I think that's fine. It looks like I get a little bleed through, but they'll be spaced out enough. I don't think that'll be an issue. Okay, so back over here, let's position these all to where they're spaced out. So this will be one of our, maybe this will be a grid stack as well. So I'll come back here to my index, other index, and let's make this a stack small. That spaces those out. That was the utility class we started with at the beginning. And that looks about right. Let's see, where's my mobile menu? Something like that. Maybe it could be a little bit larger. The only trouble is I'm going to change this up on mobile, or on desktop. So maybe I scrap that idea. So let's get the CSS back open, and maybe I'll just add it directly in here. Display grid, and then gap of var space small is how I set that up. Maybe we go medium on these, a little bit bigger. All right, we'll put these align items center. Actually, it'll be align content center. And eventually this is going to be min height of 100. Let's do dynamic view height, which isn't quite everywhere, but close enough. And let's also do top of 0, which I think it's not. Yeah, there you go. Align content center. Align items center. It shouldn't be that. It should be content. Okay, so there we go. It just doesn't like it on desktop here. That's fine. Just so we can see it, we'll keep it at that. But technically, I'd probably want this to say dynamic view height, so we can put that afterwards, and that way it'll work on mobile browsers that support it. So that dynamic view height sets it up to where, you know how sometimes you have like your URL bar or like back and forward arrow buttons or all that kind of stuff. Essentially, what this does is it adjusts for that. So whether that's open or shut or all that, it will adjust for that. Okay, so I think that's good with me. The other thing I guess I want is we're going to want this to have a background color. And this will be HSL of background. And then we also, let's see, how does this look when it's expanded? So I guess it needs a little X icon too. Maybe we just do that directly in here, and then we can keep it over top of everything else. The other thing I guess I need is some kind of this backdrop area. I'm kind of thinking what I might want that to look like. We got a button, we got our list. So what I can do is maybe come inside this list and just, this might be a little hacky, but I could just have like a background class or something. Nav background. Sure. All right, let's do that. I don't know that that's how I normally do it, but so this will be a background color, and this is where some of those properties come in handy. The way we set it up comes in handy because I could do like 2.2%. And this could be, we'll do kind of the same thing. Actually, this will be, maybe just make this position absolute. Nah. So we'll basically split this up. The hard thing is this is display grid. Let's maybe just have this as a separate thing altogether. Keep it outside of everything else. And maybe we actually put it outside the wrapper as well. So it'll be the only other thing in the body here. And this nav background will style to where it's right now at least. We'll do we do display fixed maybe? And in set 0, display absolute, position absolute. Where are we at? Background color, display absolute, position absolute. There we go. Okay, so maybe something like that. And that way we can just show and hide that as we need to. I don't know how defined that is. It's pretty dark. Sure, we can do something like that. All right, so we'll obviously hide this to start with. So let's go translate. Let's see. Yeah, transform. And we'll do translate X. Is this what we want? Yeah, and I don't think I need to have some kind of like slow moving state. It'll just snap on right away. So let's do negative 100% and just get it off the screen. Okay. And then we'll just toggle that on. So Maybe let's just do it with a proper, like a data set. So we'll do like data open. How about just when it has open on it? Then we set this to 0, and that'll always stay the same. There we go. Okay, so eventually that'll have open on it. We'll do the same thing for these nav links. So to start with, we're going to have them like this. And then we'll come in here. And these nav links will be when they have the open attribute as well. Then we'll set this to 0. And all the rest of this should be the same. All right, so now let's just hook up some JavaScript. Let me come down here, open this main. Can't find it. All right. That's right there. All right, let's get rid of all this. Counter.js, JavaScript, SVG, import style. Okay, so that's fine. Let's now grab whatever that button was called. Let's give it an ID so I can work with it just in JavaScript that way. Here we go, open mobile nav. I guess I could also just grab it by that ARIA label, but let's give it an ID. We'll call it mobile nav. And let's say const nav here, although I think that's the only thing we're going to do in here anyhow. So const mobile nav is equal to document.query selector, and we're going to select the mobile nav like that. And then let's do an event listener. So mobile nav dot add event listener. We'll do a click. We'll do handle mobile nav click. Like that. And then let's write that. So const mobile nav click, handle mobile nav click, and I guess let's take in the E because we might need that. I'm probably also going to want the, I'll call this the mobile nav button, and we'll call this the mobile nav, and this will be my nav links. So let's see, do I want like an ARIA? I probably also need like a ARIA expanded, and we'll set this to false by default, and then we'll do ARIA controls. So what this should do, my understanding is that this says whether or not the thing it controls is expanded, and we'll point this to the ID of mobile nav. Or is that what I just did for this? Yeah, I did. All right, so let's call this mobile nav button, and then this will be the mobile nav, which needs to be down here on the actual thing it's going to be controlling. So we'll call that mobile nav, which means we can come back here and change this to mobile nav button, like that. And then let's just copy these both down and get rid of those and get rid of this. All right, so that should work. Let's just console log dot e. Actually, let's do e.target dot. If you do JSON dot stringify, the e.target dot dataset dot, what did I call that? Or not dataset. What did that have? I want to know get attribute the ARIA expanded. All right, let's pull that up and I'll show you what I'm doing here in a second. Assuming it works. Something should happen. This is hooked up. Oh, you know what? I know what's going on. The SVG is being clicked. So let's get to the SVG itself. And let's just do inline here. Is there already a style tag? It doesn't look like it. So we'll do style pointer events of none. All right, and that way I should be able to click through that. Is that not what's going on here? Mobile nav button. That is what I called this thing, right? Mobile nav button. Handle mobile nav click. Let's just tab to it and see what in the world is going on here. Mobile nav button. Oh. Set it on the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is giving me null, which is not what I want, and then it gives me false, and then null. So I think I do need to return to this and add this thing back in here because I'm getting null because I'm clicking on the SVG, and now I should get false each time. Okay. So now what I'll do is set this as is open or something like that, and that should actually dynamically update. And then we'll just set e.target.set attribute, and we're going to set aria expanded, and we'll set this to the opposite of is open. All right, so let's see if that does anything, and then let's console log this each time. Okay, so we click, it's false, click, it's still false. Okay, so it did nothing. Let's come over here and just double check. False, false, false. Okay, so it's not changing anything up. e.target.set attribute. I think that's how I typically do this. Aria expanded. This isn't parse, is it? Yeah, I'm doubting myself. Yeah, there we go. So it's parse. There we go. So it switches it back and forth because, yeah, we're not trying to make it a string. We're trying to actually get it to be a true Boolean. I think the other way to do this is maybe with this, like, you can kind of coerce it into a Boolean. So there, yeah, there's another way. That's simpler. Let's do that. Except it's not switching back and forth. So yeah, it doesn't work. I'm not really sure why this works. I just know it does. So, so there we go. All right. We're going to call that good. Obviously that overflow isn't exactly what we want here, that it's overflowing over here, but we'll fix that in a second. All right. The other thing I want to do is whenever it's expanded. So we need to do a couple things here. So open mobile nav. We also need to toggle the gray background. And what else do we need to do? I think that's mostly everything if we've already changed it here. So this will be like change state of button or something like that. And yeah, so let's take the mobile nav and then dot set attribute, and we'll do open. So if I do this and I click here, I thought that's what let's just double check. Element. Oh. There you go. There we go. Okay. So that's good with me. Let's do it like that. And let's also do the same thing here. Except this one, it was maybe a class or something. No, it's just the same thing. Okay. So maybe let's create a little helper function. So we'll say const set open. Do we toggle open attribute? Let's toggle open attribute. And let's take in just like however many. Let's just take an array of items. All right, and on the outside of this, so that way we can pass in multiple things at the same time. Is that what I want? Yeah, sure. All right, so we'll do array of items. For each item, what I want to do is first of all check if it is open. And in this case, I'm going to just check for I dot get attribute. Oops, get attribute. And if it has the open attribute, then I know it's open. And then what we'll say is open. So if it is open, then I want I dot remove, delete. How do you delete an delete? attribute. Is it remove? Delete attribute. Not from object. Remove attribute? Yeah, remove attribute. Why isn't it showing me that? Remove attribute. And we'll just remove open. Otherwise, and let's space this out like this. So this is just a little ternary. We'll say I dot set attribute, and we'll set this to open and nothing, since we figured out we had to do that. All right, so that should work. So we'll just toggle the attributes, and here what I can do then is just pass in, let's see, the mobile nav, and this needs to be spread in here, or just added like in an array here. So mobile nav, and then let's see, I don't have it in here yet, right? So we'll call it nav background, which I think is what I called it. Let's come up here, grab this. I guess it's just a class. That's fine though. Oops. That nav background. All right, so we'll spread both of those in, and that way they just toggle back and forth. So mobile nav and then nav background, and let's see what happens. Hey, a thing happened. All right, so we need a button to close it, but I think we're pretty much good with that. That's a minimal amount of code. I'm happy with that. Why, I'm not sure why there's so many ends after that. That's fine. Now maybe what I should do is actually make this to where I like spread in this. Is that what I want? So I'll spread this into an array, and that way does that even work? I mean, it should work the same way, right? Except in this case, can I pass in two things? No. So let's just leave it. All right. And I just got to remember it's an array. It's the only time I'm calling it, so we're good here. All right, so there we go. I think that's how I do it. How far have we got? I don't know. I've had fun. So we need to add, we've gotten to where the mobile nav is almost done. All right, there's the true answer. So close on click button, or whatever the other thing is called. What's that thing? Or background. So let's do the background first. So, and we'll call these like event listeners. And then down here we'll say, let's see, nav background dot, what am I looking for? Add event listener. And we're listening for click. And we'll do close mobile nav. All right, and so I'll say const close mobile nav, and I guess I don't really need to take in anything, because all we're going to do is basically toggle these, all right, because that should always be the same. And then I need to set, well, yeah, I can copy that down. So we'll say mobile nav button dot set attribute is expanded to false. Or maybe that needs to be false. All right, so that should work. If I come here and I click here, nothing happens. So close mobile nav. Let's also see if it actually works. If I click here, it is working. That's good. But this toggle situation is not working. So let's check this too. So null and null. Okay, cool. Has attribute, I think is what I want here. There we go. And one of the cool things is when you use these RE attributes, you see it kind of like at least I thought it did. It refocuses itself on that, so that's cool. The other thing let's do is, keep that. Let's get rid of this console log. Let's get rid of this log. The other thing I want to do is keyboard escape too. So that's fine. Let's also do window.add event listener. And we're listening for a click. No, key press. And let's just do it all inline here, I think. So we'll do if e.key is equal to escape. Then let's just do a logical and here, and then we'll say close mobile nav. We have to run that. I think that should work. If I hit escape, oops. Nope. Let's see. E.key. Oh, maybe I just wasn't selected in the window. I am. Then what's this key? So those work. Why is my escape not working? Spacebar. What am I missing here? Infamous mobile toggle. Yeah. All right, so what am I doing wrong? Key down? Okay. Not key press, key down. All right, because I think key press is only for, there we go. All right, so there we go, and it refocuses it on that as well. So clicking off, going there, all that has worked. Now, I don't know that you're going to be hitting escape, but now the other thing is that's toggling every time I hit escape. So I probably also need to check if it is open. So let's just run a little check like this, and we'll just check to see if the mobile nav is open. So let's do if nav background has attribute open, then we will return. So let's make this a guard clause. If it does not have attribute, then we return. So that way hitting escape doesn't open it, but it does close it. And we click out here, that closes it. Last thing is clicking on a button that does not yet exist. So let's call this, let's write out the JavaScript this time first, and then we'll kind of go in reverse. So we'll call it close button, and right now that doesn't exist, but that's all right. We'll just say close button to add event listener, click. And now let's write it. So I'm going to come over here. Let's open up our assets. Mobile close menu. I'll add that directly in the HTML as well. And let's add it inside here. It'll need to be position of absolute. So we'll ID of whatever that thing was, close button. And then see it showing up there. Okay, there we go. What else do I want this to do? Aria label, I'll say close mobile nav. And can we like autofocus this or something? The other thing I probably need to do is these all probably need a tab index like that. Is that right? Yeah. Of -1 to start with. And then I need to toggle those as well. So hit a moment, have a click. Toggle open attribute. Okay. Toggle all tab indexes or something like that. I could also do a mutation observer and like change when I go from large to small, because for instance, if I'm like this and I go to large screen and eventually snaps over, I'd obviously want that to close down. So that's another thing to probably add at some point, but I don't think we'll do it in this video. Otherwise, that's all we're going to do is a mobile nav. But there's a lot of little things to think about with mobile nav, so that's kind of what I'm going for, since the layout isn't that difficult. Says the guy who hasn't started the layout yet, but so we could do like a mutation observer to close down mobile. Maybe we'll do that. That's not too hard. All right, when we get to a certain screen size. Okay, so if I come in here and I click this, it should close it down as well. So our JavaScript worked. So now let's just style it. So CSS, here we are. We also need to probably actually get this thing. Let's do min width here of like 40 view width. What's my mobile menu look like? That's more like 60. So we'll do 60. Position absolute already, so that means I can grab my, I guess let's just grab the close button as an ID. We'll say position of absolute. And we'll do top and right of our space. Let's do small or something. And top, same thing here. Background, none. Border none. And then let's just add the same ring length to it as well. No reason in multiplying our efforts. And while we're here, let's give this its own class. We'll call it close button. And that way I can use the class in CSS, which is what I would typically do. To close button. There we go. It's already there. And these need to be set off a little bit. So let's go to, let's just do it here. See, these are kind of all off how I normally do it, but that's fine. Let's just come down here and do padding inline of our space medium. Get that off the side a little bit. That should be in the middle. Looks pretty close to me. I can't tell if that's supposed to be bold or not. So let's say it's not. All right, that's about as far off as it would be on like 375. Click out here. Let's make this maybe a little bit wider, like 70 view width. There we go. Now the other thing we want to do is add in a style transition. So let's, where's our mobile nav? We can steal the ring link. Let's grab this, and I'm going to come down here. We'll add this in. Let's see, and I'm going to get rid of this and say this needs to be, that's fine. Let's just set this at 0. Now let's get rid of this whole thing. So I'll just add this all directly in JavaScript. So that way when the page first loads, it doesn't like slide off the screen, which is kind of an awkward experience. So instead we'll come up here, and every time it's clicked, I mean, it's not a huge deal to add this. So let's just do that. So we'll say, kind of no matter what, we're going to take the nav, the mobile nav dot style dot, what am I looking for? Transition. We're going to set that to this, except this will be transform. I think that's correct. Definitely not. All right. Style mobile nav should be the whole thing. Oh. Still not right. Transform. What am I doing wrong here? The opposite of theme. I'm not sure I understand, Dante. You don't like my theme? Or trying to read the tea leaves there. Mobile nav. I'm setting the style property on that of transition to this, right? Why is that not working? All right. Clearly, I'm just missing some kind of basic syntax here. So, how to add transition JavaScript. Style transition. That's literally what I did. What am I doing wrong here then? Ease. Oh, okay. So it just doesn't like the cubic Bezier curve? Okay. Oh, it's maybe too snappy. I don't know. Well, let's leave it at ease. We'll just do ease in and out. That's fine. I kind of hate how slow that is though, so. All right. All that being said, I don't really like that. Let's just snap it. That'll work. Okay. All right. We're going to call that good. And let's just toggle all the tab indexes and be done with this thing. So let's grab const nav links, equal to document.query selector, and we're going to grab the nav links like that. And then let's grab this nav links here. Nav links. Let's just toggle tab indexes, and we'll pass it the nav links. And write another little helper function up here. Toggle those array of items, which also means let's make these an array of items. Nav links like that. And then what do I want to do? Nav link array of items dot for each item. Obviously in this case this is the only thing we're doing this with, but it's always nice to make these little helper functions. Oh, Ian, maybe it was a semicolon at the end. The colors move you. Dante, it is let's see, color theme, pale night, high contrast, community material theme. They move me as well. That's why I use them. All right. So they're so, relaxing. Array of items for each. Let's see. Is tabbable. Let's set this to const. The I dot. So these should each be elements, right? So has get attribute. And what I'm looking for is tab index. Is that how that's spelled? I always forget that. Tab. Yeah, looks like it's lowercase. If that equals -1. I think that's a string. Let's see if it's tabbable. All right, so we'll come in here. And I'm going to document.query selector is not a function. Oh. What in the world? Oh. All right. Is tabbable false? All right, so this should be true. Let's just first of all get what this is. No. Okay, cool. So should this be tab index? No. Also no. I'm going to get the attribute on these of tab index. They literally have tab index on them. So what am I missing here? That's an attribute. What if I do has attribute and see if it even exists? Maybe it just doesn't like me. I feel like rather than solving this, just saying it doesn't like me makes me already feel a little bit better. All right, so that's false. It says it doesn't have that attribute. That's so weird. See, does it let me tab to these now? No, it doesn't. Okay. And the other thing is I probably need to pass in Yeah. Okay. So I actually need to change this up anyhow a little bit, because the button should also have tab index of 0 or of -1. Somebody else can figure that out in the chat. That would be great. Trying out the theme. Cool. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. I switched it up quite a bit. I'm trying to get more consistent on my channel because I think it probably frustrates people that I change so much. And then I just change my own personal one all the time because, I don't know, it's my own personal profile. So let's see, where's this? Right here. So let's set this at tab index 1 as well. And then when I come over here, let's see, let's not make these an array. Instead, what I'm going to do is spread into here my nav links and my close button. All right, and those should toggle back and forth. Hey, Jay Hanfield, thanks for joining me. All right, so we've got is tabbable over here, this tab index situation going on. For some reason, this is not an attribute. Get tab index state JavaScript. So is it just .tab index? I mean, we can try that. Tab index. Is that all I have to do, really? Hey, that's all I have to do. So if this equals, how about if it does not equal -1, then we're going to call it tabbable. Is it tabbable? Yeah, it is. All right, so. But is that what I want? Let's come back here. So it's false. It should equal -1 on all these. So it's, maybe this is an actual number. Weird, but let's set it up like this. All right, and we'll just say, is not equal to -1. Why is that? I don't understand why that was yelling at me. Let's just say it's greater than -1. Does that work? False. Okay, which should be right. All right, and then what I want to do, I want to check if it's tabbable first of all, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll say if it is tabbable, then that means it is 0 or whatever. So that means I want to move it back. So I want to say tab index, and I think this is a setter as well. And we'll make this equal something cool. I guess just 0, right? Otherwise, we'd want this to go to -1. Oh, that didn't do anything. So maybe we set it like this. I don't remember how this works. Tab index. Maybe these are not setters. So we'll do set attribute tab index, and we'll set it to 0, or in this case, -1. All right, I think that should work.
Now, how about drums? An instrument everybody loves.
Are these opposite? Am I just setting it as the same thing? Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, because now I should be able to tab to this. So this one is switching. What's the matter with the other ones? All right. Let me see what I'm getting in here. console.log, the array of items. What I want is for this to be several things. Aha! So I want this to be not that, not even close to that. I want this to be nav links, which should be a nav link. Okay. There we go. Now all those are tabbable. When I close out of those, they should no longer be tabbable, which means all I got to do is pass the same thing. All right, that was a lot of gobbledygook to basically worry about that. Let's just toggle these again. Maybe we should make a custom event that fires each time, and that should handle all this. But at some point, I should probably get around to styling the rest of this. Close mobile nav. Let's just do the same thing here. Now I really want to do a custom event that fires. I don't think we need to do that. Okay. So I'm going to come here. That opens. That closes. I can tab to it as well. And now these are all good. Maybe what I want to do as well is focus on the first one. Nah. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Maybe what I will do, though, is put the close button at the end of this list. And that way, the first thing that you get focused on is that. So let's do that. Just thinking like user experience, that you want to go to home first. Now, the other thing we might want to do, I don't think I'm going to do it here on mobile, but on desktop, I might want to make it to where you can arrow to each of these nav items. So, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with that overall. I know we took our time, but I kind of like these challenges where you can just play around and you don't have to worry so much about like cramming in all the stuff because it's difficult. It's just like enjoying yourself. But we should probably finish the styling. All right, so let's do that. So this wrapper, max width 100 view width. Is that right? Why is this not being cut off over here? That's what I need to know. So this should be around everything. This wrapper class. Okay. Is it position relative? Yeah, that's our problem. Okay. I thought I changed that before and it just didn't work well. We'll do min height here of 100. View height. There we go. Okay. So that works for that. Let's do this media query for larger screens then. And I think let's just do all our media queries at the bottom. Media queries. This is where I really like Sass or postcss or something like that. Should we get that set up? Yeah, let's do it. Postcss. And let's stop this and do pmpm. And what I want is postcss. We'll do auto prefixer. That works. What else do I want? Let's do postcss preset env. Do I want anything else? Nah. We'll call that good. Preset env. Just to remember what this is supposed to look like. Now, Vite already has this set up by default, actually, now that I think about it, but that's fine. This works. So, what am I? postcss.config.js. Let's do Vite postcss, because I think maybe I have to make that a common.js file. Postcss. Dante, position relative and absolute remain basic. Yes, and it trips me up for sure. All right, there we go. It's just a basic config file. Load config. What's up with that? Let's look at the postcss.org, and what do I want to look at setup. I forget where I find this stuff. Yeah, that's what I want. Something like that. Except what I want here is postcss preset env. And that will let me do nesting, which is why I decided to just go for it. So assuming this all works, nope, hard pass on that. Probably because these are set up to be, what do I want? I don't need them to be required. I always forget how to style, if this is like an object it takes. Let's see, I think the Tailwind docs have an example, so let's use those. I just don't remember how they want that set up. PostCSS. Okay, so they're just objects. And this is an object. And that's an object. Yeah, all right. So like that. I obviously don't need Tailwind, but I need auto prefixer. Let's close this down, try again. Nope. I just want to nest. That's all I want to do. Modules not defined. Yes, module scope. So maybe I do need to make this a module. How you feeling now? Feeling good about this now? No? What does my package.json say? Type module. So because of that, I shouldn't need this to be a module. If you see what I'm messing up, let me know. How long do I spend on this? You go look at my own tutorial, which is what I do half the time. Because that's why I come up with these things, is I get in situations where I'm like, how do I do this? And then I just look it up and then we're good to go. Let me make sure I was actually in the same directory, first of all, that I actually brought these things in. I did. Okay. PostCSS, auto prefixer, they're all dev dependencies as they should be. PostCSS preset env. Sure, let's try it like this and see if that fixes our problems. No. Failed to load config. Search path requires not use module scope. So I can just import these. Import. Let's try that. See what that does. I don't feel like I need to import these though. This is stupid. And I don't need this to be your config anyhow. Alright, we're just going to scrap this because I don't want to waste my time on this. That's why I don't set up these kinds of things on live tutorials, just because they take a second. And it was working fine, so let's just deal with it, all that to avoid a couple media queries. All right, if you see what I did wrong, let me know. I just don't want to figure it out right now. Media, I mean, I usually just, honestly, it's like most of us, you just do it once and then you copy it over every time. Media query syntax that I can't ever remember. Thank you. We'll set this to like 768 maybe. And what we want to do at that point is, why is this blue? Oh, I set it to light blue. I was like, what just happened there? Let's see, what do I want to do? Let's split this first of all, so I can see what I'm doing up here. Nav. Button. So I think this is what we called this. So we'll say nav button. Display of none. I'll change this to min width. So there we go, it's all gone. The other thing I want to do is, maybe what I can do is, instead of handling that whole background thing in JavaScript, well, I'd still have to do it for the, no, I think I can do all this. I was going to say this background class, whatever that is, this nav background I could handle in JavaScript, like making sure it's closed or whatever. But let's just do it in CSS. I don't know why I was thinking to do it in JavaScript. So let's just do both of these. Like that. And that way they both disappear. So even if it's open, if I come over here, it should now just disappear. All right, the other things we want to do is take my mobile nav itself. Where's that? These nav links themselves. And we've got to make a bunch of changes here. So let's do this position of static. So it'll go back to its default. And maybe just so we can see this right now, let's set this to like 48. All right, so that way we can see what's going on. Let's also set this to display of flex. Let's also hide the close button, I think it was. We'll also move this over. So let's set this back to 0. Oops, to 0 like this. There we go. The trouble right now is that everything is set to the top here. So let's also do some basic styling of that wrapper class as well. So wrapper has a nav inside of it, then it will have a main, and then it probably would have like a footer or something like that. So let's come back over here and grab my wrapper and just do some basic grid work on that. So we'll do display of grid, and then grid template columns. Oh, grid template. Let's do rows actually. And this will be auto 1FR and auto. And that way this what's this doing down here? Oh, you know what? It's because it's taking up the auto, which in this case is the problem with the nav links. So nav links, like that. One thing I've not been paying attention to at all is the time. Okay, so we gotta hurry. All right, so min height here. Min height is auto. Min width will be auto as well. Okay, so there we go. I think that mostly works. Let's set this. Anything else I need to change on here? Gap's fine by me. Padding inline. Maybe I should set the padding back to 0 here, just so that the parent can control everything. Background color's fine. Transform's fine. Okay. So we'll call that good. Let's change this to 768. So it opens here, but on all these, it closes down. Works for me. Okay. One thing is officially done. Let's get rid of this here, and let's get around to actually styling everything. But there's always a lot of cool stuff to do with that, so I like doing that. But let's come in here and we'll grab all our buttons and set these to cursor of pointer as well. There we go. All right, so let's pull up the design, and we'll do the mobile design first, and let's just template out all this content. So that was all for the nav. Well worth it, right? Open up the sidebar. I mean, that really is what you have to do, you know. I mean, we still didn't handle everything. We've got keyboard events, tabbing, working properly. We can hit escape. We can click off. We can click the button. You know, any of these. Oh, what happened to our click off? Oh no, we broke it. What did I do? Let's fix it. First of all, I've got a console.log somewhere right here. Let's get rid of that. Secondly, why is this background not clicking? Because I'm guessing when I click here, it's not going to do anything. Yeah. But it does say closing there. Nav background. Toggle open. Let's make sure this has open on it. It does. But I click out here and it's... maybe this has to be... It's like a Z indexing problem or something. That would not surprise me. That's saying it's over the top of... So yeah, maybe that's just a Z indexing problem. So let's come back over here. Let's get rid of this console log. Let's come to my wrapper. And I guess let's do something like Z index of like 50. And then we'll go to my nav links. And when these are open, these will have Z index of 51. Huh. Not sure what I did. Well, if you know what I did, let me know. But we had that working. I really don't need to spend more time on this, though. Yeah, okay. I gotta actually style stuff. Let's get this stuff in here. I'm not sure what I did wrong, but it's fine. So that's how it is on mobile. Let's check the desktop design too. So let's see how we're gonna lay these out. So this will be its own section here. So 1, 2, 3. I could do this in a couple different ways. Probably the easiest is just to use flex. So this will wrap all on mobile and unwrap. Actually, let's make this a grid and this a flex, but these will all be a section. So let's start with that. All right. Let's close this down a little bit. Move between those. Okay, so we're going to have a grid first of all, and this will be a stack of... Maybe we make this the header. I mean, it kind of is. Let's do that. And we're going to give this a class of stack large. And that will set these off as grid children inside here. So we'll have an image here. This will point to our image. And then we'll have the text. And let's see if I can't copy this stuff out. Index here. Futures bright. It's all one. And then read more. All right, so let's have this be our H. Do we even have an H1 really? I mean, I guess this is the headline. You'll need one H1. So let's get rid of those sequential pasted items. Let's just do it like that. And then below here, we'll have that stuff. And let's see, this needs to be inside of a flex, or inside of a div. We'll call this like flex wrapper. How about that? And then these need to be together. So let's just wrap these in a div. And these can have a class of stack small, I think. Actually, maybe these need to be large too now that I think about it. And this will be outside here. And then we'll have a button here. And this should be a button. Nope, probably should be a link, the class of button. We'll point it to nowhere. And, oops, paste that in there, read more. All right, that works. Stack large doesn't seem to be doing anything though. This also probably needs to be, yeah, that works. Okay. So this, we're going to go into assets, into images, into, what do we think? Oh, I got two different ones based on the size. Okay. So what I probably need is, and what is that tag called? Image, source, what's that thing called? Set, figure. Is that what I want? Something like that. It'd be like web 3 image. Hey, thanks. Glad you enjoy it. Responsive image MDN. They have a good guide on here. So I think what I'm going to do is just take this picture. Why couldn't I think of that? All right, picture element. That's what I want. And then I'm going to switch this stuff around here. So he's got a few different ones. Let's zoom out just a touch so I can see this all in one line for now. So let's see. Here's where we will drop this. I'm pretty sure this needs to be like that. Min width here. We'll switch this out to desktop, maybe. And then we'll just call this web 3 image. All right, and this can be, I guess if it's not sure, it can just grab the mobile. Let's see what that does. All right, and then I get bigger, it switches it out. Okay, cool. All right, that's good. Let's see, because we've got all these things in that wrapper class, let's go ahead and come to our wrapper. And let's also set a gap here. And we'll do our vars space of extra large, maybe. Small. Oh. Something like that. This needs to be, let's come up here to, I guess we'll put this above the body because these are kind of more like utility classes. We'll say font weight, bold, and font size will be var of FS 600-ish, something like that. Let's also move these down because it's being overridden, I think. Is that right? 500? 800? 700? It's hard to know. Let's also do some line height adjustments. So let's add those up here too. So we'll say line heights. We'll do line height of 1, which will be 1. And then let's copy this down. And we'll do 1, 1, and 1, 4. And this needs to be 1.1, and this needs to be 1.4. That's usually about what I do for these. So that means what I'm going to do is come to my body and say my line height needs to be var of line height 1.4. Let's have this be a line height of var 1.1. And then on my button, see, these are my navs. Let's have a button section. And here, this will be a line height. What is that? Line height with a dash. Line height of var line height 1. You really know like how much you don't know CSS naming things like properties and stuff when you have to type them all manually and VS Code decides not to help you anymore, which is what's happened today. So, all right. So I think we're good there. This should have, I thought this thing had like a stack small on it. It did not. Oh, because it had to be flex wrapped. That's right. So let's also have another, this is more like utility kind of thing. Flex wrapper, do flex wrap of wrap. And then this needs to be display flex. Display flex. And then let's do a gap here of var space small. Okay, so that should wrap. If we get big enough, it should go next to each other. The other thing that I want to probably do is just grab all my paragraph tags. And I really never want them to get larger than like 60 characters, something like that. That's a nice little pro tip in that, like, you know, that's about reading length. You know, it's really not going to get much bigger than that. Let's see, why isn't this going next to each other though? It just can't quite fit. So I guess that means I need to take let's just take these right here. So flex wrapper, we'll take anything inside them, which is not a great way to do this, but that's okay. We'll say flex 1.1 and I'll just start. I guess I just need this as a media query. So let's do that down here. All right, so flex will go 1.1 and like 40%. Let's see what happens. There we go. Is that kind of what we want? Let's check it. I thought I had this. Yeah, I did. Okay. More or less. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. The other thing we need to do is probably also need to take all of our paragraphs. So where was that? And these look to be muted to me, so let's use that. So we'll do color is HSL var muted. So that takes that on. Okay, and then let's go for the button itself. So where's my button? Here. So this needs text transform of uppercase. And then, yeah, that's fine. We'll do background color of our, let's see, this needs to be wrapped in HSL, accent 2. We'll do max width of max content. And then, let's see, color needs to be my background, I think. Text decoration is going to be none. Let's get this back just so I can get a little bit more room and zoom in a touch for you. Okay, text decoration none. Let's do, I already have my line height. Man, these properties are all out of whack how I normally do these, but I'm not sure what I'm doing. I don't know, something like that. I will say letter spacing is 0.2 might be a little aggressive. Font size is var. I guess this would be, no, yeah, just the font size 300 maybe. So it looks like it's slightly smaller, right? Font weight would be like the 600. What did I pull in here? 4, 7, and 8. So maybe this would be 7. Nah. I don't know where exactly I'm supposed to use those. Maybe just here. This is smaller. Not really sure. So maybe I go to my H1. Here. We set this to font weight of 700 or 800. We set that 800 maybe. I think that'll work. Okay. So back to the button. Let's set some padding here of 0.4M and 1.2M. Needs to be a little bit more than that. And maybe this needs to be slightly smaller. One of the nice things that that scaling thing does, though, you can see how it's real easy to just template this stuff out once you get going. It still doesn't quite look right, so I think I am going to go 700. That looks better to me. All right, and then let's see the button. Let's just have it also have the same thing. Just copy all of this. All right, like that. And then I'll change this to button. That way it gets that same kind of effect on it. I could obviously add the same link to it, but that, since I know I want all my buttons to be like that, I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so the top section is donezo. Let's see. Next section is the new articles. And let's close this one down. We'll call this a section here. Now this actually needs an aria labeled by. It needs to point to the ID of whatever this is, the H2. So we'll point this to new. And then all of this will be in a stack large. And the first thing here will be an H2 with an ID of new. Let's see, and I made this thing an H1, right? Yeah, okay. So this will be, H2s are for your sections, so we'll say new, and this will just say new. And then all of these will be in a stack small. And we'll have a different utility class since these are supposed to have a hover effect. I remember seeing that. So that's something to think about. Now, there's a couple ways we could do these lines. We could do them as actual header rows. We could, if this is going to be like a list, we could say all of them have a bottom border and then just remove it from the last one. So maybe that's what I do. This would be a row of list as well. And then this would be li. And then let's open up the index over here. And we'll copy in all this stuff. So stuff. It's kind of nice to get back to just doing bare bones like HTML because I've been doing so many other things recently. So hopefully this is helpful for you. I know it's hard to know who's watching. So sometimes maybe it's not what you wanted, but I figure we'll mix it up and then everyone's happy eventually at some point. So we'll grab this here. Try to keep kind of semi-organized. Same thing here. And same thing here. All right, cool. And the nice thing is it's already kind of set out for us. Obviously, you've got some spacing issues to worry about. And since I already have this aria label, I can select this section without having to add some kind of, weird, class or something like that. Okay. So let's call this like new section. And we'll just do aria labeled new. This will be a background color of my text. Oops. Text. And then let's copy this down and make the color my background for all those. And then my body because that's more specific than this. The paragraph tags, it should override that, which it does. So we'll need to obviously alter a couple things. Let's start with the H1s here. So this font size, let's pull this down. So font weight bold, that doesn't need to be there at all. Basically the only thing those things are going to share is the font weight, or the line height, but that's fine. So then we'll take the H1 here and set that to this and this. And that means we can take H2s and maybe we'll make this size 600, slightly smaller maybe. Keep that at that. And then the H3s, we'll set this at 500, and I think this needs to go down to 7. Something like that. I'm happy with that. So each of these should be in their own stack small too, right? So let's grab this. And I'll grab each of these, 1, 2, 3. Let's add those in there. Stack small. Sure. Might be a little too aggressive. Let's go extra small and write our own little thing. And then this needs to have the same thing. Class of small. Actually, this might need to be separate. So let's give this we'll call this like new stack. Stack new. How about that? All right, stack new. Let's come to our stacks then, and let's create an extra small. Even though I'm already applying the extra small class to that. Do we have like an extra small? 2x. Oh, there we go. Sure, that'll work. And then we'll have a stack new. This will be a display of grid. We'll do a gap of var space 2xl, xl. Maybe we should just call this xl since that's what it is. And we'll do stack xl here because I think on these, I'll take these extra smalls, also make these like new article or something like that. I think this works. Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, so we'll take this new article, come over here, come down to the bottom section, and what we want is this new article. We're going to say for each new article, it needs to have a border bottom, like 1 pixel, solid, and we'll have this be our muted color. Maybe this is where we use our light that we haven't used yet. If it's the border, then I need the spacing to be on the children. No, I'm not sure what I should do. That's fine. Let's do this. Let's do a padding var. It's kind of hacky. Let's do a margin bottom. So you can calculate variables and reverse them. So we'll do space large. I think this is what I want to do. -1. Oops. Yeah, okay, there we go. So maybe this is more like a medium and a medium. So basically what I've done is I've artificially moved this thing down and still let the parent control the spacing between the actual elements. It's kind of hacky, but that's fine. All right, padding here. What does my wrapper have? Extra small. Okay, so that's what I'll do down below here too. So we'll do padding here so it's the same. And it looks like maybe it's slightly bigger up top. So I can do that. Let's say small here. And then what I need to do is on this last article, last of type. Maybe. Oops. Let's say that this is 0. And this is 0. And there's no border bottom. That works for me. Okay, so we've got all these. Now, the other thing I didn't think about, these need to be links themselves. Now, we've got some active states here. So let's zoom in on this. So active state, we've got the button. Oh, it looks like this button needs an active state too. So let's do the button first. So the other thing I need to do is change around the background color. So let's do this. Let's set accent to be the text, all right? Because then everything should just switch over. No? Accent 2, sorry, to be text. No? I was certain that would work. So, why isn't that working? The idea here is that basically when you hover over this, it just updates the single variable locally scoped there. So it's now text. Oh, I need to wrap. Oh, okay. No, here's what I need. I just need to set to var text like that. There we go. All right. So let's get rid of this. So now that means I can just come in here. So maybe we transition all. How does that work? I'm happy with that. All right. And I know we added kind of our own focus states, but that's fine. So we've got a red focus state and a yellow focus state. It looks like these need to be red as well. So let's think through this. Where's my ring link? So I guess these aren't technically what they're supposed to be. Let's not do this on hover. So we'll just do this focus visible. That'll be the starting point. So if I tab to them, it'll do this, but that's it. So the other thing I would do is maybe we do ring link on all of them. Let's do this. Yeah. So we'll do ring link on all of them. And what we'll do is ring link hover. And what we're going to do is change out the color. And what we'll do is set this to var of. Let's create something. Let's call this hover color. And we'll just set this to, I don't know, whatever, 0 for now. I guess I need to have some kind of default. So let's do an accent 2 for the default. And that way, if I come to these should change, right? Ring link hover. Oh, accent 2. Okay, so those change by default, which means any of these should change by default that are. Then what I can do is just update. So ring link, and then I'll have yellow, and I'll just update the hover color to be my accent 1. And then I'll do the same thing for the red. And this will be accent 2, which I guess that's my default. So I don't really need to do anything there. So let's just call this like alt. And sure, that works. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is come to each of these H3s. Let's come right here, right in here, and right in here. First of all, I'm going to add this. We're going to have it pointing nowhere. And then I'll have a class, and this will be ring link, and also ring link alt for these. Then let's grab this, this, and this. Is that right? Oh, somehow I only moved it down there. Okay, like that. Is this the final one? No. Okay. How about like that? All right, so that'll work. Let's also ring link. Let's update the style of that too, because anything that's got that is either going to be a button and it won't have text decoration. Decoration will be none to start with anyhow. And then the color should be the default text. And I'll obviously have to overwrite it inside of there for these H3s. So let's just do all new articles. Maybe I can pick up that styling. Let's try that. So color, and this will be background, I think. So I'll have to get more specific than that. So I guess we'll come in here and grab all the links inside of here and then do this. That'll work. And then they should switch over. Okay, cool. Except these are supposed to be alts. It's a double dash, and I'm guessing I did, no, ring link, double dash. What are my colors? Accent 1 and accent 2. Which is which? So accent 2 is that, which means this one should be HSL. Yeah, accent 1. I'm not sure why I named that one accent 1, but let's come up to the alt. Accent 1. This needs to be on the hover state maybe, because it's being overridden. There we go. Okay. Specificity, right? That'll get you every time. I think also these little borders need to be muted. Okay, we'll call all that good. Let's also grab inside this new here. We're going to have that H2. Actually, I can just grab the ID of new. Oops, the new like that. And this one can be accent 1, which I'd probably have utility classes for that kind of thing. Let's maybe make this a little bit bigger even still. Okay, so those should all stack. Now, I need to make these to where they wrap properly, and then we're almost done. We don't have that much left. So we've got this labeled new section and the header section. Both need to be inside of a div. And we're going to call this flex wrapper. If we set that up properly, they should just wrap, and they do. Cool. Now, the only trouble is I don't want this to take up quite that much space. I want it to be kind of like a sidebar, which also makes me think this should probably be an aside, because it kind of is an aside, right? So let's grab that aside. in my styling over here. And let's set the flex basis on here to like, I don't know, 15%, something like that. Just when we get big, right? So down here, what's this thing called? So this would be a flex basis of like, yeah, 20% maybe. So that as I get larger, that should just stay all the way over there. Looks too like this image. That works, but let's make this even smaller. Spacing between those, oh, what is going on? All right, those look fine to me. All right, last thing is I should probably also have a container on that class as well. So, right here. And that way it stays to the center. Now, what is this doing? Okay, so this is a flex wrapper too. So let's have all the children start. That's the problem. So we'll come over here to my flex wrapper, and this needs to be align items flex start. Now that way we don't get that weird funky stretching. Sure, that looks good to me. How do you feel about that? What do we got? Some weird. Oh. See why you shouldn't do like padding along with other design choices. Let's just remove that from the links. Ring link. It's not like it really helps this much to have padding on it. Okay, there we go. So when it gets smaller, it snaps down. It gets bigger, it goes next to each other. Maybe we make that breakpoint just a little bit bigger, like 900 pixels or something. But everything stays to the center. That works. Okay, so last little section here. And we don't really have that much left, just these three little sections. So we'll call all of these, I guess this, we'll just put this in. Let's close this down first. They are all going to flex wrap, but it'll be a little bit different than the other section. So I say we call this its own little section. So section here, and we'll give it an aria labeled by, and this will be articles or something like that. And then each of these are going to be articles. So I'm not sure why I didn't make these articles, but I think just having images like clues me in that these should be articles, because they're, and these, that's more of a list in my mind. But so those are stacked next to each other no matter what. They look the exact same. So not going to argue with that. Let's have this H2 here with an ID of articles. This will say like recent or top posts, something like that. And we'll have an aria, class. Let's do screen reader only, because we don't want this to show, but we do want it to tie those two together. So let's come back up here to utility classes. Sure. We'll do screen reader only. I'm just going to steal Tailwind's. Tailwind screen reader only, because I like their basic setup for this. It'll just hide it. That'll work. So we won't be able to see that, but it is there. All right. So it'll read it out for screen readers and stuff, that those two things are connected. And again, you need an aria labeled by and an H2 for a section to be anything different than a div, basically. All right, so these articles, I guess let's give this thing a class. So we'll say article, and yeah, that should work. Let's have an article wrapper, because I'm going to use like gaps and stuff, and this will add some weird spacing issues. So we'll do that, and then inside here we'll have an article with a class of top article. If I can spell article like that. And this will have two things. It's going to have an image on the one side. So let's do assets, images, and then top laptops. I don't know which ones these are. Top laptops. So I guess that's the second one. That's fine. We'll move back up that way. So we got that image, and then next to it we'll have a small stack small. This is where these utility classes really start to shine because you get all the benefit of that. Let's just have this as, it could be span or paragraph, doesn't matter because it's a grid child. And this will just say 0, 1. I guess we could also make that like a counter in CSS, but we don't need to get too fancy. This will be an H3, and this will say top 10 laptops of 2022. And then this can just be a paragraph with our best picks for various needs and budgets. And I guess this would also be a link. Oops. A link here. So have this point nowhere. And this would need some classes here. So we're going to need a ring link on that, I think. There we go. And it's supposed to turn red, I think. Yep. So we're good there. Okay, I think all the rest of that works. Let's go to this index over here. Let's copy out these and duplicate this stuff, and then we'll style it and be done. So article up, article down. And let's start here. Let's see, right here. And then here as well. And this will be 1. This would be 2. And this would be 3. Okay, so that should be all correct. I just need to change out the actual images now. So the last one here, it looks like is growth of gaming. So gaming growth here. And the first one is retro something. Retro PCs and retro PCs. All right, there we go. So I think that works. Let's just style the thing. Now, here we are right here. Why is this thing not getting spacing? So this should be getting spacing from its upper section here. It must be outside of here. Is that what I want? So now it's getting proper spacing, but where's my like wrapper thing? Yeah, okay, so that the div I placed in the wrong area. So this div here should be here. Nope. It should be right. All right, I'll explain what I'm doing here in a second. So below this is side, close this stuff down. Let's put everything back to start with. All right, so let me just add the extra div and then I'll remove the other ones. Let's get this smaller so I can actually see what I'm doing. So I wrap the entire section with that wrapper and I don't need to do that. So the extra div needs to be right here, which means this doesn't need to be here. Nope, is that right? Here? Nope. Let's just open it up so we can actually see what the DOM is showing us. Well, the body also, that needs to be adjusted, but so it should have a wrapper, that's true. It should have a main, this, and this. Yeah, that works. So the main is just going to need the same things that the wrapper has. I think that's all right. Where does this tie into? Yeah, that's the wrapper. That's the main. So if there is a problem, it's fixed it for me, which it's possible that there's a problem and I'm just not seeing it. So this should be color. And that should style everything with that. All right. I think that's working. Muted. Let's just double check that this is actually getting the styling it needs. From the body. Color text. Okay. And I do have a color text. Okay, good. I think that's all correct. All right, so let's style this, and then we're gonna call it good. Kind of a long stream today, but I don't know. We actually did it as we were supposed to for the first time in a while, so that's a good thing, I think. Let's jump over here to the news homepage. We've got this article wrapper, and then an article, right? But I guess first of all, let's take this right here, and let's apply this to the main, which I don't have anything of right now, so I'm going to grab main. We'll do the same thing, display grid. So those should all be spaced out. And I guess, yeah, I think that's correct. So bottom section here, let's just go article wrapper, display of flex, and flex wrap of wrap. So that should wrap those down. And then, I think for now that's good. Then what we'll do is the articles themselves, or what do we call those? New article. Display. Let's do none just to make sure. That wasn't right then. What do we call these things? Top article. All right. So here, these will be display of flex as well. And then align items start. I think that looks correct. Now these look, I think that looks like it all works. Okay. So inside here, we're going to have a couple things. Let's grab, first of all, the paragraphs here. So anything with something like that. We'll have a class here. We'll call it like number. All right, we'll grab the top. Let's just call it the number like that. Number. And we'll do font size of var font size 500 maybe. And font weight will be 800. And then color will be muted, I think. Nope, should be light then. Maybe that's where we need the light. Okay. So there we go. Top article, flex. We also need a gap on here of our space. Let's do like small, something like that. Maybe this needs to be a little bit bigger. The rest of that looks good though. Let's shrink this down. So these are flex children here. This small stack here. So let's grab these three and add a class here. We'll call it top article image. Image like that. And then I'll grab those here. We'll say top article image. Flex is 1 and like 20% maybe. Top article image. Aren't these? Yeah, that should work. And then we'll grab these right here. 1, 2. Well, I'll do this like top article body or something like that, and do the same thing. We'll set this to like 60%, something like that. Why is nothing happening? Oh, you know what? I need to set this to, I think I'm just going to set this to why is that thing not shrinking down? Well, let's just hack it with a max width instead and call it good. So for right now, I'm going to comment that out. We'll say max width of like 20%. That should be 20% of its parent. Let's just set a width on here of var space like 3xl maybe. And then that should get bigger as we get bigger. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is grab these top articles and say this also needs to be flex. I guess down here. Top article will be a flex 1, 1, and like 25%. That way, as we get bigger, they should snap next to each other like that, which they do. Okay, last thing is this also needs a gap. So we'll say gap var space, maybe extra large, large, something like that. That should space these things out. Maybe we set this to medium. And again, setting all that up ahead of time really helps because now it's pretty quick to get this scaffolded out. All right, I think that works for me. Not that top article body. This is what needs a little bit of work. Maybe this body, we change this out here and we make this an extra small. There we go. Something like that. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. We lost our click ability over here somehow. I think these things are all on top of it. That's why. So let's fix that and then we'll call it good. But I hope you enjoyed this today. I know I didn't have nearly as many people as normally join me, but that's all right. It's a little bit more of a basic project, so, and I've done more advanced stuff on streams recently. Let's come here to wrapper, padding. So it's extra small. Let's go to the wrapper down here and we'll say wrapper, and here we'll say padding var space extra large. And that way when we get bigger, that should get more space up top, and it does, which is what the project looks like, so that's good. The other thing we'd want is that background, right? So, oops, background. And I'll throw this code up on GitHub if you want to check it out. There we go. Why is this thing z index? We're going to go crazy. All right. There we go. Now it's over everything. Now it's clickable. All right. So z index 50. I don't understand. I don't have a z index on anything else. Maybe there's something inherent. I don't know. Nav links. So here we'll have a z index of 50 or 101. 200, 1,000. All right. Why is this suddenly not? Where's my background again? Because I don't understand why it's doing that. But let's hack it for now, because I know my nav link, when it's open, it's only ever taking 70% of the view width, which means the background only really needs to take 30%. So let's just set Let's set the right to the same thing, right? Yeah. So a little hacky, but it works. Got keyboard events, got all kinds of stuff. All right, hopefully that was enjoyable for you. I'll throw the code up on GitHub, like I said, so you can check that out. And yeah, I appreciate you spending time with me today. I know it's been, it was a bit of a longer project, but I think we got it pretty close to how it's supposed to look, which is always exciting, and even adds extra stuff like some of these tabbing abilities. Some of this, it looks like maybe this text needs to be altered slightly when you're tabbing, but it's super clear what you're looking at, right?